Hello, today we're going to be looking at posts within WordPress. Probably the most important thing you can do in WordPress is create either a post or a page, and understanding how to create them, update them, delete them, and manage them in general is highly critical. Right, okay, we're going to start off. I've logged in to WP Admin on my test website, and I've gone to posts and all posts. Now you see here there isn't really much going on. This is purely a test website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new post. You see, I can edit existing posts just by taking my mouse cursor over to the name of the post and clicking on it, or even clicking on the edit at the bottom there. But for the time being, let's create a new post. So clicking on Add New. Can also reach it from the menu over here. Here we go, the Add New Post page has appeared. Okay, now before we begin, I think really I need to give each of these little windows here a bit of a introduction. Firstly, you have this box here. See my cursor's flashing away. This is the initial box. This is where your article title will appear. And it's also the title that will appear within Google listings, the title that will appear within searches on your site, and depending on your theme that you've selected for your WordPress website, it's the title that will appear as a link that you click on to read your article. This area down here, well, this is where all the body of the copy goes. This is where all of your text and your images and your links for that individual web page or post shall appear. And you see here you have lots of WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, controls for formatting your copy. Beneath you have discussion. Now this is very useful if you want to add or allow people to add comments on your article. I think it's very important to get user engagement. It adds more interest for the articles. Maybe questions will be asked which you didn't think of, which you'll be able to give answers to, as well as more food for the search engines. It boosts up user interactivity. It's a very important thing to have, and you can accommodate that if you wish by clicking or unselecting these boxes. I tend to choose just allow comments. Trackbacks and pingbacks, I think they're more trouble than they're worth, so I usually switch that one off. Over here you have the publish box. Now this box is all about publishing or saving as draft, or publishing at a later date, or hiding from certain levels of membership to your website. There are all sorts of things you can do with publishing. Very, very useful. You can also move to trash should you feel that your post is moving in a direction that you don't want it to go. Beneath the publish box there is the categories. Now categories are ways of filtering down your content. Rather than just having one long stream of posts, you can break it down into various categories. Makes it easier for the user to search. And you see there you can actually add new categories as you're going along. Then you have tags. Tags are very useful, very similar to the hashtag that you would see in Twitter. Very much like categories, they allow you to filter out certain articles, maybe on particular topics. Categories are great, but you really should only put one tick in one of these boxes. You shouldn't multi-click like this, because it's not a good idea to place your post in multiple categories. It's better to do it just for one, just to avoid any penalization as far as duplicate content's concerned. And you don't want to annoy the user. If they go to one category, read the article, then go to another category and find the same article in there, they're going to get annoyed. So you're better off just putting each article, each post within one category only. Tags, you can do multiples, so you can add as many, do as much duplication in there as you wish. Tags are a really good option should you find that you need to put this post within several areas of the site. Set featured image. Now this is very useful. Most themes will allow for a little thumbnail next to each post, next to each article in a list. So if you want to include a thumbnail, you click on set featured image, choose an image, and there you go. Right, now without further ado, something I prepared a little earlier was some copy to paste to my article. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor into the body area here, and I'm going to paste, and you can see there loads of copy has appeared. Now if I scroll to the very top, hopefully I've done this, there it is. This is going to be my title, so I'm going to copy that out. I'm going to get it out of there, and I'm just going to paste it into my title box here. There we are. Now within a few seconds this should appear. Permalink, edit, view post. Now this basically shows you what your URL will look like once you've published your post. So that is the link to your post page, how it'll be structured. Permalinks need to be set in settings. If you go down to permalinks, you need to look at this before you really set up your blog or your website. It's very important you get a good structure in place and that nothing's sort of left to question mark ID equals or anything like that. It needs to be readable. When people are looking at search results in Google, they look at the title, they look at the description of each result that's returned back at them, but you know, they are also looking at the link itself just to try and find a validation between the title and the description and what they're going to be clicking on. They don't want to be looking at the title non-toxic plants with a description about plants that you shouldn't allow your children to eat, and then the website's pointing to buy shoes. They don't want that. So people often look at the link as well. So having a link which you can read and understand is very important. So a good permalink is very important. If I click on edit, I can see how my page is going to be structured. Now I think I'm going to get rid of some of these. I'm just going to get rid of this little bit here. Make it nice and short. Short is good. A little bit long at the moment, but let's just go with that. So that's a very important thing from an SEO point of view and from a user's point of view. Search engine optimization does include the structuring of your link to a small degree, but still these small things do add up. So make sure that you have a good, solid and healthy looking permalink. Okay, now moving on, we have our copy here. It's looking a little bit boring, I think you'll agree. Put in a few what should be headings. At the moment they're not formatted, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a heading, and I can do so by ensuring that I've got toggle toolbar or toolbar toggle enabled, so it shows me this extra row of buttons, and I choose from this area here heading. Now I could use heading 1, but I would strongly advise against it. I'm going to go for heading 2. Now the reason why I would avoid using heading 1 is because it's already used by your title. When you actually see your post in place, the heading 1 will be used up by this area here, by whatever you've written within your title. And it's strongly advised that you don't use more than one H1 or heading 1 tag within any post or page. So I would say use a heading 2 for your headings, a heading 3 for your subheadings, and maybe a heading 4 for your sub-headings. So you see now I'm going to go through each of my sub-headings, or my subheadings I should say, and I'm going to set them all at heading 3. In HTML this is called an H3. There we are, this is starting to look a little more like. I'm just going to make sure there's a good line break in there, so on and so forth. So there we go, that's looking a little more like now. I think that's starting to take shape. Right, okay, we're going to have a quick look at the WYSIWYG environment. over here. You see you've got all the usual suspects: the bold, the italic, the strike through, the bullet points, the ordered list, the quotes, the justifications, sorry, the alignments I should say. They're all there. So I'm going to perhaps I shall look for a word, maybe non-toxic plants. If I want this to stand out, I could make it bold just by selecting it, running my mouse over it, and by clicking on the bold button up here. And there we go, we can now see it's emboldened. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of doing that, so just in case you wanted to do that, I could do italic as well. I'm going to switch that off, and I'm going to move further down and show you another little thing you should try. Do you know I've missed one out here? Let's just make sure I've included that one here. Heading 3. Right, if I skip right down here, this is obviously a list. So if I select all of this, now we're going to probably have a little problem here, but let me just go through it. If I select all of that and I click on the bulleted list, yes, exactly what I thought would happen has happened. I'm going to need to go through each one of these and just do a backspace and return just to identify each one as a bullet point. In fact, what I might do is I'll do a few more, then I'm just going to shorten this list by getting rid of these. This is, after all, just a little demo. I can also make this a numbered list as well. If this was a countdown or what have you, we could do that. So I can go between bullet point and ordered list, or numbered list I should say, by just selecting and choosing from up here. Now let's say, for argument's sake, we've got a link within our article. I'm just going to turn that into a heading 2. Here is a link that links to an article which I feel would be useful to my readers. So if I want to turn this area into a link, I'm just going to copy that, Control C, and I'm going to click on this icon up here, the Insert Edit Link. And it's automatically adopted the URL here, so I didn't need to copy and paste after all. I might give it a title, the hover title that you see often when you take your mouse over a link. So I could put, this is a great article on topic. I can't remember what the article's about, but there we go, I'll do that for now. You can choose to open it into a new tab if somebody clicks on it. However, some people don't like that sort of pop-up experience, and as a result, I think Google's sort of going against links being like this. So I'm going to not click on that. I know I could potentially lose a little bit of custom, but I've got to keep the search engines happy and I don't want to annoy any users. So I'm going to click on Add Link, and that is now a linkable resource. Oops, I've missed one of my headings out there, haven't I? So I'm going to just put that in as a heading 2. There we go. Now this is looking a lot better. If there are any spelling mistakes whatsoever in the article, you will have a red line beneath it just appear. If you do see this, just right click and you can choose from the suggestions that pop up from there. If you're using Chrome, this is a really powerful thing to do. Now, unfortunately, lots of things are coming up as spelling mistakes, but they're not actually spelling mistakes. It's just that the names are not being recognized because they're Latin names for plants. So there we go, that's looking a little bit better as far as the copy is concerned. Now you might be thinking, why is James here? Why is he avoiding all the bells and whistles? Why is he not selecting text and giving it colors and changing the font and doing all these other weird and wonderful things? How come there is no design in this post? Well, there's a very simple answer for that. The design is within my theme. It's my website that is designed, not my copy. Now, okay, you might be thinking that's a little bit arrogant of me. You know, why can't we put a bit of design in our copy? Well, of course you can, but the risk is you're going to create something which becomes very convoluted, is slow, perhaps even erroneous when it comes to certain browsers. There may be all sorts of issues that pop up if you're creating rainbow text, and it's going to slow things down. You're going to end up putting too much technology into your post and not enough copy. Keep things as simple as possible. Let your theme, that's the overall design of your WordPress website, do the design work. Let that do all the pretty stuff. Don't put it into your post. Keep it simple. If you're adding images, don't overdo it. Just add 1 image or 2 images. If you're going to be talking on the subject of lots of images, if you want to add a whole gallery in there, you can add a gallery. There's a gallery function in the thing that I'm about to show you, which is the add media. Now, I want to place an image in this to smarten it up, to add a little bit of design, but not overdo it. Simple is always best. So I'm going to click on Add Media. Well, first of all, I'm going to make sure my cursor is where I want the image to go. I'm going to have it floating over here. So I'm going to place it just before this paragraph, and I'm going to click on Add Media. Now I've actually uploaded an image already. So I could upload a file just by clicking on the Upload Files tab, select Files, and I could browse to an image. Or shall I go for another image? I don't know. Perhaps I should. What was a design I made earlier? It might be a bit too big. Let's see what happens. There we go. It's uploaded. There it is. You've got various settings here. You can give it a title, a caption, and alt text, which I would strongly recommend you do. We haven't got time though today. And then there's the alignment. Where does it sit in relation to the copy? Is it to the left? Is it in the center? Is it in the right, to the right? So I'm going to choose right. Link to. Is it going to link to the file? So if somebody clicks on your image, is it going to load the actual file up in the browser? Is it going to load the file up as an attachment page? Is it going to load up another page? Maybe you could define a page, maybe another website or an existing page on your website. Or is it not going to be clickable? Now I think I'm going to go for non-clickable, so it's no longer a link. You also get to specify the size: thumbnail, medium, full size. Sometimes you get a few in between depending on the size of the original. I think I'll go for medium. Now I mentioned earlier that you can add galleries. If you have lots of images and you want them to tile all together so people can click on them and go through them, you can click on Create Gallery and select multiple images. But for the time being, I'm just going to stick to the 1 image. When I'm done, I click on Insert into Post. There we are. There's my image. Now, it's a bit disconcerting. There's a block of text, but that's actually within the image. It's not text that's written here, okay? But you see there, the text, my text, is actually wrapping around this image. If I need to get rid of the image, I simply click on it, and I can delete it by clicking on there. I can also go in and make a few tweaks to it by clicking on there, which brings up this window. Okay, so we have covered the basics of putting together a reasonably well-rounded, designed article or post. Just make sure, as I've said before, don't overdo it with design. Keep it simple. Break things down with headings, bullet points if you feel that's going to make things easier to digest. Or do you know what? I think I can make that bold. There we go. So make it easy to read. Keep your sentences short as well. That's always a very good thing for internet. People don't like reading long, flowery sentences. Keep them short and punchy. So there's my article. Few things to do before we finish up. First of all, I'm going to drop it into a category. I could add a new category if I wished, but I'm not going to. We can also put tags. So I could put, how about poisonous? There's one tag. And I could put, how about children as another tag. And these will all appear within my post as little tags, and any other posts that I've associated with these will also appear within listings. I'm going to choose a featured image. It doesn't have to be the one that's in the design, but I always think it's nice to keep things consistent. So I just clicked on, if I just show you that again, set featured image, I click on it, click on set featured image, and there we are. Now if I go right to the bottom of my page, I've allowed discussion. I've got the option now to save draft, to publish, or to preview. I think I'm going to preview for the sake of this tutorial. So if I click on preview, it will load up another tab. And unfortunately, that's the theme of this website. It dumps the featured image at the very top. But a lot of themes don't do that. You'll just see the heading, the image floating, and there's the text. I don't particularly like this theme. This is the 2014 theme, which I've just left in place just to keep things simple. But your theme may show things differently. But we see there, it's all looking pretty clean. Let your design do the work for you. Hey, there's my tags down there, and there's my link. If I was to click on that, it'll go to that website. But hey, I don't want to give them any advertising, so I don't think I will do for the sake of this tutorial. Right, well, thank you very much for visiting this video tutorial. If you want to know any more about WordPress, then please do visit shortfusecreative.co.uk, and you'll find there are plenty of WordPress tutorials there designed for my classes that I teach. If you click on there, you'll find a whole range of topics on the subject of WordPress. And just incidentally, going back to the home page, there's me, there's pretty me on the home page. Right, thank you very much for listening. Please do visit again.